Okay, y'all, welcome back. Today we're looking at number 3.18 on page 25, Frère Jacques Around. It's a French folk song. You may recognize it, and then there's a couple things we need to talk about first before we get actually to playing into it. So let's discuss real quick, how many sharp signs do you see in the key signature? You should see two sharp signs, an F sharp first and a C sharp, and then you should have a time signature of 2/4 time. That means you get 2 beats per measure. So you'll notice that there's a number 1 with the circle above the very first measure. Then count 1, 2, 3, 4. The fifth measure, there's a number 2 in the circle around it. Those are parts, remember, of a round. So whoever's playing part 1 starts at measure 1 and continues through the very end. And then when part 1 gets to where the circle 2 is, that's group 2's cue to play at measure 1. And so you're playing both. Everybody's always playing at measure 1. You just play group 2 at a later time. And so you'll be offset by 4 measures. And this will create a harmony that the melody is already written for. Some other things to talk about too is this is 2 lines. You have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 measures. All right. In 2/4 time, of course, which is why it looks like so many measures. And you have 4th finger A, violins, violas in measure 6, measure 8. You go back to open A's on the A string, violins, violas on measure 9. And then everybody here on the last 4 measures, you're going to be playing a low A, first finger on the G string. When you get to the open D, low A, open D, low A, open D, those last 4 measures. So you have 4th finger A's, you have open A's, you have first finger low A's, and you have 8th notes, no repeat signs. But how do we play this as a round if you're doing it by yourself? Well, you don't have to do recording, obviously, for part 1 or part 2. It's going to be exactly the same, whichever part you play. So what I would like you to do is just play it as written one time through from beginning to end, and that'll show me that you can perform it. Now, if you want to hear what it sounds like as a round, later on in the recording, play along with me, either part 1 or part 2, and so you can see what it's supposed to sound like. All right? And I'll give you an example of how both will work. So first, let's go into what are the pitches and how to practice this. And we're going to start first on the violin. Okay, so I have my violin, and we're going to be playing, everybody's going to be playing the same pitches, just different fingerings, of course, on different strings. So we have starting off D, E, F sharp, D for the first 2 measures. You'll notice that the next 2 measures are exactly the same. Now, this happens throughout the piece. Every 2 measures is repeated one more time. So you have D, E, F sharp, D, again, D, E, F sharp, D. Then the following 2 measures, we have F sharp, G, 4th finger A, F sharp, G, 4th finger A. Okay, and that does it twice, right? Then you go to the next line. Those 2 measures, you have 8th notes, so it's going to go twice as fast. A, B, A, G, F sharp, D. Then you do it again. A, B, A, G, F sharp, D. Now that's going to be a hard part, so we'll review that a lot because playing 8th notes is easy on one string, but when you have to cross bow onto another string, especially from an open string to a fingers, more than one finger down on the next string, that's going to take some practice. So we'll have to work on A, B, A, G, F sharp, D a lot. Then you have the next 2 measures on D, low A, D. It does it again, D, low A, D. So every 2 measures is repeated one more time right after it. So let's go into trying to play this. Here's what it sounds like on the violin. And then we'll try to practice a little bit together on measures 9 and 10. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so now let's look at measures 9 and 10 real quick and how that's going to be practiced and performed. All right, so let's go slowly, just playing that measure 9. Okay, so we have, make that nice and even. Make sure that every note is the same length because they're all eighth notes on measure 9. So move quickly. All right, and then once you get that down, add measure 10 to that. So measure 9 and 10. Then, once you get that down, you can add those 4 measures together since it's the same thing twice. Of course, always practice it slowly first. And this includes the cellos and the violas and violin doing the same thing for measures 9 and 10. All right, so violin and viola is the same exact melody and rhythm and bowing and same strings. All right, so I'm going to go to the cello now, and we'll end with that. Okay, so here's the cello for Frère Jacques. Here we go. And 1, 2, 3, 4.